You know that feeling when you're standing in the grocery store checkout line and you're staring at the total on the screen and you feel this weird, cold knot in your stomach? It's not that you don't have the money, you probably do, but you're doing that frantic mental math, calculating the electric bill that's due on Tuesday, the subscription you forgot to cancel, and that weird noise your car started making this morning. You hit pay, the terminal beeps, and for a split second you hold your breath until the word approved flashes. It's a tiny, exhausting victory. Honestly, it's a heavy way to live. I'm Vic, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, financial psychology, and why so many of us, especially in our 20s, 30s, and 40s, feel like we're drowning even when we're technically keeping our heads above water. I've realized that most of us aren't actually broke in the traditional sense. We're just stuck in a physiological state called survival mode. And the wildest part? There's a very specific, almost magical number that acts as the exit key to that mental prison. I call it the $10,000 rule. Now, look, I know $10,000 sounds like a lot when you're currently calculating if you can afford the good oat milk this week. But this isn't just about a balance in a savings account. It's about a psychological threshold that changes how your brain processes fear. Once you hit this number, the world literally looks different. You stop reacting and you start acting. If you've been feeling like you're running on a treadmill that's moving just a little bit too fast, I want to show you how this one number can finally let you step off. Before we talk about the money, we have to talk about your brain. Have you ever noticed how when you're stressed about money, you make the worst decisions? You're tired, you're worried, so you order $30 of takeout because you deserve it. Or you're too drained to cook, even though that $30 is exactly what was making you stressed in the first place. It's a paradox, right? Basically, when your bank account is near zero or even just lower than you're comfortable with, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for long-term planning, kind of goes on strike. Instead, your amygdala takes over. That's your lizard brain. It's the part that handles fight or flight. When you're in survival mode, your brain treats a surprise $400 car repair the same way it would treat a literal predator chasing you. You can't think about a Roth IRA or a 5-year career plan when you're fighting a tiger. You're just trying to survive the next 10 minutes. This is why just saving more is such an annoying advice to hear. It's not just a math problem, it's a biological one. You're physically incapable of thinking long-term because your nervous system is fried. The $10,000 rule is designed to cool that system down. So why $10,000? Why not 5 or 20? Honestly, after looking at the data and talking to hundreds of people about their anxiety peaks, $10,000 is the psychological wall. In most parts of the world, $10,000 represents a very specific kind of freedom. It's the everything is fine fund. Think about the biggest normal disasters that can happen to you. Your car's transmission blows up, that's maybe $3,000. Your AC unit dies in mid-July, $5,000. You lose your job and it takes 2 months to find a new one. For most people, $10,000 covers those 2 months of life plus the emergency. When you have $1,000 in the bank, you're one bad Tuesday away from disaster. When you have $5,000, you're breathing, but you're still cautious. But when you hit $10,000, something clicks. You realize that there is almost no routine disaster that can ruin your life anymore. You've built a moat around your peace of mind. If this idea of a peace moat makes sense to you, honestly, hit the subscribe button because we're going deep into how to actually dig that moat today. Here's a small aside, and it's something that really irritates me. It is incredibly expensive to be in survival mode. Have you ever noticed that? When you don't have that $10,000 cushion, you pay the survival tax. You buy the small, cheap bottle of laundry detergent for $8 because you can't afford the big $25 one that lasts 4 times longer. You pay the $35 overdraft fee because a bill hit 12 hours before your paycheck did. You defer maintenance on your car, which turns a $100 oil change into a $2,000 engine repair later. Survival mode forces you to make expensive short-term choices. The $10,000 rule is about buying your way out of those taxes. Once you have that cash, you can buy in bulk. You can pay your insurance annually for a discount, and you never, ever pay a late fee again. It's the ultimate life hack that nobody calls a life hack. I spend way too much time thinking about the vibe of money. When you're in survival mode, you're playing defense. You're blocking punches, trying not to get knocked out. But once you cross that $10,000 threshold, you start playing offense. This is where the wealth building actually begins. When you aren't terrified of your mailbox, you start noticing opportunities. You might see a course that could help you get a promotion, or you feel confident enough to negotiate a raise because you know deep down that if they say no and things get weird, you aren't going to be homeless next month. That FU money, at least a mini version of it, gives you a seat at the table. It changes your posture. You speak differently in meetings. You sleep differently. You stop being a victim of your finances and start being the architect. Okay, let's get practical. How do you get to $10,000 when you're currently looking for loose change in the couch? Metaphorically or literally, no judgment. First, you have to stop the small win trap. A lot of people try to save by cutting out the $5 latte. Look, I love a good latte, and honestly, the math on the latte thing is kind of a lie. Cutting a latte saves you maybe $150 a month. That's great, but it's not going to get you to $10,000 fast enough to keep you motivated. To hit the $10,000 rule, you need big wins. You need to look at the 3 big expenses: housing, transportation, and food. Can you get a roommate for a year? That's $800 right there. Can you sell the car with a $500 monthly payment and drive a boring, reliable sedan for a while? That's thousands a year. The $10,000 rule isn't about being cheap. It's about being aggressive for a short period of time so you can be free for a long period of time. It's about a sprint to safety. Now, here's a personal observation. I've seen people hit $10,000 and then immediately spend it on a vacation or a new watch because they feel rich. This is the biggest mistake you can make. That $10,000 isn't spending money. It's foundation money. It's the concrete slab your house is built on. You don't chip away at the foundation to buy new curtains. You treat that first $10,000 as if it's invisible. It exists in a high-yield savings account, maybe at a different bank so you don't see it every time you check your checking account. And it stays there. It's your safety shield. Once you have the shield, then you can start looking at investing or upgrading your lifestyle with the money you save after that. I remember a friend of mine who finally hit his $10,000 goal. He told me the weirdest thing. He said, "Vic, I realized I haven't had a tension headache in 3 weeks." He didn't even realize he had been living with a constant low-grade physical pain caused by financial anxiety. That's the real rule. The $10,000 rule is the point where your body finally unclenches. It's the sleep test. Can you sleep through a storm knowing your roof might leak? Can you sleep through a "we need to talk" email from your boss? When you have that cushion, that sleep, that's where your creativity comes back. That's where your humor comes back. You become a better partner, a better parent, and a better human being because you aren't a cornered animal anymore. So, let's recap this journey. Survival mode isn't just a lack of money, it's a state of mind and a biological stress response. It keeps you making short-term, expensive decisions that lock you into a cycle of just getting by. The $10,000 rule is the exit ramp. It's the amount of capital needed to shield you from 99% of life's standard emergencies, effectively switching your brain from survival or defense mode to growth or offense mode. Getting there requires focusing on big wins, the heavy hitters in your budget, rather than just obsessing over the small stuff. I know it feels like a mountain, I really do, but mountains are climbed one step at a time, and the air is so much clearer at the top. If you're at $0 today, your goal isn't $10,000. Your goal is $100, then $500, then $1,000. But keep your eyes on that 10,000 mark. It's the line between being a prisoner to your paycheck and being the master of your time. You don't have to live in fear of your bank app forever. You're capable of building this. It's not easy, and I know it takes a lot of sacrifice, but I promise you, the version of you that isn't constantly stressed about money is waiting on the other side of that number. Start small, stay aggressive, and let's get you out of survival mode. You've got this.